Jolie, just curious, as a woman, what is it like being a woman in Kerala?
Something which is fantastic for me, it is the open thinking that is there and the educational facilities which is given to the women in Kerala. That is something. I got educated because my parents and grandparents and mother, especially mother and grandmothers, were educated. They were a big support to send everybody in my own family to get educated. It is something very good. I feel that, of course, there are other elements, limited. Of course, educated women are back home and non-productive. That elements is there, but still, the best thing I appreciate is that we are all educated and we are open for education.
That's good. Is there a difference here than in anywhere else in India? Being a woman, I mean, an educated woman?
Of course, if we see the northeast, or not plus North India, if we go, still if we see the girl child is still kept back home. And during COVID in my own university, you could see that there were two gadgets to study. Well, one gadget for a student, even in colleges, the girls were kept aside. And I have taken some studies related to the children going to school. Next, in the Haryana state, we found that male children were sent to school, given the opportunity to learn. And so good number of girl children were kept aside. But if you take the Kerala situation, it was not that. And girls were really, really given the opportunity to get educated during COVID as well.
I'm so impressed the fact that Kerala has 100% literacy and the fact that every single person can read and write, even if higher education was not possible, but everybody is able to get an education somewhat. And that's just an amazing thing, which a lot of countries in a lot of states may not have that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's not just the basic class 5, class 2, class 10. I can see girls, you can see, being encouraged to complete their degree even now. We don't see, rather very, very few stopping their education before having a college education in girls. It's a common thing. It is a very general thing that all girls are educated. I mean, there is no difference between boys to be sent to higher education or girls to be not to send even technical education. You can see many girls going into. And I was doing a little bit of exploration on women journalists, the advanced technologies given to women journalists. And Kerala is one of the states I come to know that almost all leading journalists, the mainstream media, this is not the main language, like national media, the regional media, you can see that they are all advanced, like fact checking, use of AI, introduce use of AI, and they are into sports reporting, they are into leading anchors and discussions, they are into, we can see that, and you see that way also technically advanced knowledge, even reporting, taking the risk and all that, you can see they are doing very well compared to many in other, like
of course. Yeah. And I guess they are also entering into the sciences, more into engineering and medical and other parts as well, which were predominantly done by males.
Yeah, it's no more, you can say, by male. Yeah. It's a different.
The world has changed, and so has the genders who are going for these different careers.
But the problem is that our educated women remain non-productive. It's a big concern in Kerala. Like, what do we do with their knowledge? Stay back home, and less opportunity to utilize their education. Minimum what they do is to help their child in their basic education. Not more than that. Contributing to the society, the women educate.
But then you also have women who do non-paid work.
Definitely, that is like non-paid in the sense the homemakers work. That they do that. They're just there. Yeah. That we do need a lot of education to do that. They're very creative. They got a lot of education. They invested time, money, and all that. But job opportunities are not created. Even self-employed. we can see vacancy, there is a tendency to stay back and just stay there, take care of your big houses. And we're not even kind of contexts are there to reflect about their own contribution, what creatively or collectively they can do. Middle class and upper middle class is so much we can see in that. Maybe lower middle class a little more into productive work, like they get together in some places. Very rarely you can see that they come together, get into some of the productive things, self-help groups and related. But middle class and the higher middle class, they just stay back. They don't want to do.
They're comfortable. They're comfortable in their bubble.
Status that is being created. Yeah.
How do you break that?
Yeah, that's a collective effort. Maybe one to step in, two to step in, and change from a comfort zone. It's a radical change to be coming. We need to collectively think, what are we doing? So we educated, what do we do with it? Continue contributing to society. A lot of we speaking about sustainability and all that, these things, but these are not part of our dialogue. These are not part of our discussions. We tend to get into empirically, that is something make you satisfied, and emotionally we get satisfied. We just stop there. And systems must be there, like the media to be there, organized institutions, non-organized institutions should engage in kind of thought-provocative dialogues. We use our intellect, use our traditional methods. A lot of things are we can get women back into be creative, be productive. Maybe we need a lot of thought processes. Collectively should be moving.
Now, we've talked about how women are being helped and how women are in the field and how women are getting, upgraded in career-wise and whatever else. Now, do you feel that the men should also be equally the same? They should also be given an education on how to take care of the household, how to also support the women who are aiming for a career as well?
I think the young generation is more and more moved into that quite a lot. It's area-wise there are differences, but there is a lot of changes into that. They just don't see just girls alone working, especially working classes. But I don't know, how do you see as a person who is at Keralites, as now how do you see, or the perception of Keralites outside, how it is? I don't know. According to you, how's it?
How do I see Keralites as an outsider? I think, like I said, I'm very impressed with the education. I think my education stems from seeing and experiencing the fact that my ancestors pushed us to get an education, and it was trickled down generation-wise to me and my cousins. So it was very important. And I think in Malaysia, in a lot of Malayali families, education was number one. They would give away their assets to get their children educated, and that would assure them that their children would get a better job or better career to improve the family life. So that was the goal. And it's still going on at the same rate as it was when my ancestors migrated to Malaysia. That was the goal, and that's still the goal, and I see that happening in my family as well. And I push my son subconsciously to do the same thing, to have a better education, to achieve for the highest levels of thought and discussion. And I think that comes from my background, and I think it comes from my roots, of being of having my ancestors from Kerala, and I think it is in my blood, and I do that with my kid as well.
Yeah, that's right. The way I think our ancestors pushed the girls to go forward with their own thought process, that much is not happening today. Correct. I think we need micro economies which can be based on women centered. We say a lot of production and consumption pattern, the way that it's feminine thought process can bring a lot of changes. That is what I think like that. Like if you have a 1 acre, 2 acre, 5 acres round, how smaller economies can be brought in, because instead of waiting for the money which is prepared by the son or the husband, to just utilize it. You're creatively getting into newer things. There are possibilities. You can see some innovations to be coming in that manner. I just feel that.
I think it's so interesting you should point that out, because my grandmother, who had migrated from Kerala, she had come, and she was one of the very few people who didn't have education. But that didn't stop her from being very forward thinking. And she would tell all of us girls, get an education and be able to stand on your own 2 feet, and you shouldn't be dependent on anybody, and you should be able to do things for yourself. Now, she was a young widow. Her husband had passed on when she was very young. And to support herself, he had built a house in Malaysia. She boarded out her rooms, rented out her rooms just to sustain herself and send her children overseas to study. And that shows me how resilient a Kerala woman is. And I see this a lot in you yourself, being a Kerala woman. I see this so much, and that has driven me even further. And I see and I read and I observe Kerala women, and I see how much they emphasize not just empowering themselves, but also empowering the people around them. And that's just amazing.
That's wonderful to hear from you. That's nice. Like whenever there is an opportunity, it is given. We can see the young ones taking it ahead. That maybe because depends on the family may you belong to, or circle which is part of it. Now that has a lot to, the context has a lot to do with, to move a section of the society to move, be it young or a middle or class or the senior one generation itself. That is something, I think it's a collective responsibility to the energy which is dead, to boost it and take it out and to sprout it, to grow and to penetrate into the other part of the society. I think the institutions like church can do a lot of things, education systems can do a lot of things, the government, the small groups, all the systems can do if there is a collective thought process.
Yeah, you need that functional society. You need that functional society that everything works collectively together. And to ensure that, I think it's all about community engaging the community into what you're doing and what you're contributing back. I think that's an important part. And that is the crux of sustainability.
I think so. That's something very good. I feel. I think there can be a lot of unique cases we can have. Pockets we can see, groups doing, individuals doing. If maybe a media work like this, could collectively do that, that can get into back to the society, give it back. That the system can work out. You can take it ahead. I think. We have to think differently now, I think, than traditionally you studied and you got a job and you go ahead. So it's more than that. Now, differently, as per the need of the time today, there is jobs that will not come from anywhere else. The thought process, like culturally, economically, and what can we do within, with the resources. And women's education and creativity is a big resources which we have it already here. And I think basically we are not thinking much about it. Nobody is really focusing on that. Some directions comes from somewhere and we go behind it. More than that, we may not be thinking about it. I think this is high time for us all collectively think, the young and middle age and the children and all the other, the students and all that, they should all collectively think how can we utilize this powerful resource and the energy in a very, very, very creative manner. I think we should do that.
I think also the fact that I think for youth, the most important thing is when you are young, you need to learn as much as you can. You need to absorb like a sponge. And at some point when you get your career, you invest everything you have into your career and you build your career, and your earnings, you earn not just from salaries but also from networking, from building friendships and so on. And then once that's done, the most important thing of your life should be returning, and that's returning everything that you've learned and earned to back into the community. And that's the most important part, where a lot of reflection goes on. You have to reflect and you have to know, okay, I've done all this, now what can I do to give back to my community?
So I think that's a wonderful thought process. That is just nice, Sharon, to hear from you. It's a very good thing,
And that's how you leave a legacy.
Yeah, right.
Isn't it? Yeah. I think you have to remember that.
Well, I think as women of Kerala and women itself, we should be always positive. Like there is a lot of enduring energy, a lot of potential, believe in self and believe in the other also. Believe in the upcoming generation also. We can do wonders. As an educator, I can see whenever opportunities are given, when we are guided, they come up beautifully. I think it is, nothing stops women. We should not wait for others to intervene. The initiative should come from within self, and I think we must be change agents as oneself. That is what I feel. Yeah.
Truly. And I think for me, I feel that, and as a person who has roots in Kerala but live outside of Kerala, I think the most important thing is for anyone who lives away from your homeland, or your roots are in Kerala, anybody who lives away, to always turn back and look at your heritage and your traditions. And it will teach you some important lessons of resilience and be perseverance. And as a woman, I think that is one of the most important elements. And also the fact that, the three things that I just said: you learn, you earn, and you return. And that's the most important thing.